Hey folks, I want to introduce a new template that you can use in Flowjo for managing your trips, and this can be found under the admin menu. If you have a look at the gallery, you can see there's the old documents that we had there. We've also got this new insurance waiver and a trip, and this new version of the trip, if you click install, will install to your documents section and show up in here. Now, let's have a look at what it looks like if you were using that on a client. I'm just going to go in here and choose a new client and say I want to add a trip. And the first thing you'll notice is you've got these tabs along the top. So we've taken the travel inquiry and the trip and combined them into this one document. And this gives us some good advantages because you can actually share information and have the client's answers influence the trip much more heavily. So just as an example of that, let's say we put in a destination here and a leaving date, and then let's go to that travel inquiry. Now, normally you send it through the send button like you did before, but when the client comes in here, you can see that information is already carried through to the client's form. So whatever they put on here will carry back to your trip as well. Just as an example, let's say that the client said they were referred, and they were referred by Carter. Okay. And then they go down and obviously fill in their travelers and so on. This section where they select their different segments. So let's just select 3 of those. And I'm also going to go down to the general and say I want to post my travel documents, not email them. And so that's just a couple of examples where now if we go back to the trip, you can see, let's start at the top and say, okay, because we said it's referred, you can see it's come up with a referrer section here. So I can actually choose from the database who my referrer was, which the client told me was going to be Carter. And then I can just click on send to send Carter a thank you for referring this client to me. So that's one example. Number 2 is when we get down to the booking summary section, you can see that it's now giving me a warning that the client's requested post documents rather than email. And the third thing is just some of the things you can do, like with travel insurance. So here I've got an example where you can upload one or more quotes. Let's say we're at the moment we're just using Covermore, but you can add extra providers in there. So I'm going to select a dummy quote, and then when you click on send, it will actually attach that quote along with the product disclosure statement and some instructions. So the instructions here say, just reply if you've got no pre-existing, you want to accept the quote, or you can, if you've got pre-existing medical conditions, you can click on here. That will give the Covermore medical assessment site, so the client can fill that in themselves. And also, if you've got, if you do that, just make sure you can see in that link there's an alpha code. So you just got to put your own alpha code so it gets attributed to you when they click on that. And the third option is to decline insurance, which will give them the following form. Let's click on it and have a look. So I'm just saying continue. Here's my option to decline, and I can click to sign and accept and submit. When I do that, if I go back to my trip here, and I'm just going to go back out of it and back into it because the client's done that kind of in the background. So now when I get my notification to say they've filled in their insurance waiver, let's just jump down to travel insurance, and you can see it's automatically attached the waiver to the trip. And from there, you can actually follow through whatever, if you have to requote it or accept it or decline it and so on. So you can kind of follow the steps from there. So that's the insurance side of things. Now, we've also just, if you have a look down the bottom, we've put some follow-up. You can make this for 6 months or 2 months. You can see it's just hope you've settled back in, and do you know where your next trip's going to be, that type of stuff. So that follow-up goes in there, and that will create tasks for 2 months' time. And then if we have a look at the financial section, so you can see all the financial stuff's disappeared out of this trip, and it's actually got its own tab now. So if I go into there and go to the top, you'll see it gives me the option of, at the moment, it's just showing deposit and final, but you can say there's anywhere up to 3 progress payments. And when you do that, you can see it actually inserts the different progress payments in here. And for every payment, including the deposit and final, there's all these different steps. So if I, for example, if I put a due date here, and let's just put it for 26th of December, you can see it will actually put a 1 week warning task in here. And so when you execute that task, you'll send the invoice, you'll upload it, then you'll send it. And when you send that invoice, it will also put another task in your list for the due date to make sure it's being paid on time. And that will do that for every progress payment. And then as you complete the different stages like this, you'll notice that it updates this timeline. So you'll be able to see at a glance where your payments are all up to. So that's all the financial information's gone into there. The other thing is when you get down to your traveling and you send your welcome home now, so the clients come back from holidays, the feedback will now point to this feedback form here, which has been separated into its own. We've just added a couple of extra options about the communication versus the product selections, and then how likely you are to recommend to a friend. So that's just been updated a little bit. But that gives you a very good idea of the types of things that you can do now that these different forms have been combined into one. Now, just before we go, I'll just show you roughly, like if we select all these different segments, and I'll just show through. So there's a wholesaler only section, there's flights, and we haven't gone too overboard in terms of all the different checks and stuff, because the idea is that you'll insert your own and you can build each of these out, but the framework's there so that they show and hide depending on what you select here. So you can see they go like that now. So we've got the hotels, the transport. If you click on transfers, it'll expand out, same with car hire or rail. So all of those have their own little sections now. We've got the cruises, we've got tours, and so you can have tour information and coach touring and even skiing. So if you've got a little checklist in regards to all the different things that you have to check for those different types of activities. So that gives you a framework then that you can you can add extra segments in if you tend to do more of one type of holiday or something like that. And you can also expand on all of these so that you never miss anything in regards to a hotel booking, for example. So some of the PTMs put things in here like um, automatic emails that confirm reservations with the suppliers and stuff like that. So hopefully that's some good ideas, and that will help to improve your process with your trips. Thank you.